The signal from the stars. The message came through at 3:47 hours Earth Standard Time. Lieutenant Maya Chen was halfway through her night shift at the Olympus Mons Deep Space Monitoring Facility when the alert flashed across her console. At first, she thought it was a glitch. The facility's quantum receivers occasionally picked up background radiation that the system mistakenly flagged as signals. But this was different. The pattern was too regular, too deliberate. "Commander Walsh," she called out, her voice echoing through the quiet control room. "I'm picking up something unusual on Array 7. Commander Olivia Walsh appeared behind her, coffee mug in hand. "Show me." Maya brought up the waveform on the main display. It pulsed with a steady rhythm, mathematical sequences that couldn't possibly be natural. "It's using prime numbers as a base communication protocol," Maya said, unable to keep the excitement from her voice. "And the signal strength suggests it's directed specifically at our solar system." Walsh set down her coffee, her face serious. "Run it through XENO Translate." XENO Translate was Earth's most sophisticated alien language interpretation program, developed after decades of sending signals into space without reply. No one really expected it to work. It was more of a thought experiment than a practical tool. Until now. The translation appeared on screen, fragmentary but clear enough. Emergency distress call. Ellerin Confederacy vessels under attack. Vorketh Empire expansion. Casualties severe. Any spacefaring civilization. Please respond. Coordinates follow. Within hours, the United Earth Defense Council was in emergency session. This wasn't just first contact. It was a call for help from across the stars. Commander Elena Reyes stood before the council, her service record displayed on the screen behind her. At 42, she was Earth Fleet's most decorated officer, with experience in both diplomatic and military operations. The signal originates from approximately 27 light-years away in the Epsilon Indi system, she explained. Given the time delay, the situation described in the message has been ongoing for nearly 3 decades. However, our new Alcubierre drives can get us there in just over 3 weeks. Admiral Harrison frowned. "Commander, we're talking about potentially sending Earth ships into an alien conflict. How do we know this isn't a trap?" "We don't," Reyes admitted. "But the signal contains detailed information about both species. The Ellerins appear to be a coalition of peaceful trading worlds. The Vorkath are described as an expansionist empire that consumes resources and subjugates populations." The debate lasted for days. Some argued that humanity should stay out of alien conflicts. Others felt a moral obligation to respond to a distress call, regardless of who sent it. In the end, it came down to a simple question. What kind of species did humanity want to be known as in the galactic community? The answer: the kind that answers when someone cries for help. Commander Reyes received her orders a week later. She would lead a response fleet of 7 ships, a mixture of military vessels and humanitarian support craft. Their mission: assess the situation, provide aid if possible, and represent humanity in its first official interstellar contact. The EDF Intrepid, Earth's newest and most advanced warship, would serve as the flagship. As Reyes walked through its corridors during final preparations, she couldn't help but feel the weight of responsibility. Humanity had been alone in the cosmos for so long. Now they were about to step onto a much larger stage. "Commander on deck," called Lieutenant Commander Marcus Way as she entered the bridge. The crew snapped to attention. "At ease," she said, taking her seat in the command chair. "Status report." "All systems nominal," reported Way, her tactical officer. "The fleet is in formation and ready for departure." "Engineering reports the Alcubierre drive is primed and stable," added Lieutenant Sophia Dias from the operations console. "All support ships confirm ready status." Reyes nodded, studying the faces of her bridge crew. Way, with his tactical brilliance and quiet confidence. Diaz, whose engineering innovations had helped make this mission possible. Dr. James Chen at the science station, responsible for first contact protocols, and Lieutenant Raj Singh, their pilot, whose steady hands would guide them across the stars. They represented the best of humanity, diverse, skilled, and united in purpose. "This is Fleet Commander Rice to all ships," she announced over the comm. "Today we embark on the most significant journey in human history. We go not as conquerors or explorers, but as respondents to a call for help. Whatever awaits us, remember that we represent not just ourselves, but all of humanity." She paused, looking at the main view screen showing Earth falling away beneath them. "Initiate Alcubierre, drive in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A shimmer of blue-white energy enveloped the ships as space-time contracted before them and expanded behind. With a flash that momentarily outshone the sun, the fleet vanished from Earth's orbit, bound for distant stars. The journey took 23 days. 23 days of drills, simulations, and preparations for every conceivable first contact scenario. Dr. Chen worked tirelessly with his team to refine the translation algorithms based on the linguistic data in the distress signal. As they approached the coordinates, Reyes ordered the fleet to drop out of FTL on the outer edge of the Epsilon Indi system. "Passive sensors only," she commanded. "Let's see what we're dealing with before we announce ourselves." The sensors painted a grim picture. The system contained 3 habitable planets, all showing signs of orbital infrastructure. But much of that infrastructure was now debris fields. Scans detected ongoing weapons fire around the 3rd planet. "We're too late," Wei said quietly. "No," Reyes replied. "They're still fighting, which means there's still resistance." Tactical assessment. Wei studied his readings. 2 distinct ship designs in conflict. The smaller vessels match the Ellerin specifications from the distress signal. The larger, more angular ships are likely Vorkath. The Elorans are outnumbered at least 3-1, but they're fighting defensively around what appears to be an evacuation operation from the 3rd planet. Life signs. Numerous on both the planet and the Ellerin vessels, reported Dr. Chen. The Ellerin ships appear to be civilian craft that have been hastily armed. Reyes made her decision. Communications broadcast on all frequencies using the translation protocols. Identify us as a human response fleet answering the Ellerin distress call. Moments later, a response came through, not from the Ellerins, but from the Vorkath. A harsh, metallic voice filled the bridge. "Unidentified vessels. This is War Master Krell of the Vorkath Empire. You have entered a military engagement zone. Depart immediately or be destroyed with the Ellerin vermin." Before Reyes could respond, a second transmission came through, weaker, distorted by damage to its communication systems. "Human vessels. You came." The voice sounded shocked, almost reverent. "This is Captain Talia of the Ellerin Defense Force. We sent that message generations ago. We never expected, especially not from a Class 12 species." "Class 12? Reyes questioned. "Deathworlders," Captain Talia replied. "Your planet. Its gravity, radiation, atmosphere, predators would kill most sentient species within hours. We never imagined Deathworlders would answer a call for help." Reyes exchanged glances with her officers. They had never considered that Earth might be classified as especially dangerous by galactic standards. A shudder ran through the Intrepid as a Vorkath energy weapon grazed their shields. A warning shot. "Final warning," came War Master Krell's voice. "Depart or be destroyed." Reyes leaned forward in her command chair. "War Master Krell, this is Commander Elinga Reyes of the Earth Defense Fleet. We have responded to a distress call, as is our obligation under interstellar law." "There is no law but Vorkath law," Krell replied. "Your ignorance betrays your primitive status. Leave now while you still can." Reyes nodded to Wei. "Launch reconnaissance drones. I want detailed scans of their ships, shield frequencies, weapon capabilities, everything." As the drones streaked toward the Vorkath fleet, Reyes opened a private channel to the Ellerin captain. "Captain Talia, we need information. What are the Vorkath weaknesses? How many civilians do you still need to evacuate? Their shield matrix can't adapt quickly to multiple frequency modulations, Talia responded. But our weapons aren't powerful enough to exploit this. As for the evacuation, we have nearly 30,000 civilians still on the surface. Our last colony in this sector. Rais studied the tactical display. The Vorkath ships were arranged in a standard blockade formation, designed to prevent anything from leaving the planet. But their formation had one critical flaw. It assumed attacks would come from predictable vectors. Dr. Chen, what's the status of our translation program? Can you access their ship-to-ship communications? Chen worked his console rapidly. Yes, Commander. Their encryption is sophisticated, but follows patterns we can break. Do it. Lieutenant Singh, plot a course that will bring us in from above the ecliptic plane. They're thinking two-dimensionally. As the human fleet began to move, Rais addressed her crew one final time before battle. This is what humanity does, she said firmly. We answer when someone calls for help. Shields at maximum. Weapons hot. Let's show the galaxy what Deathworlders are capable of. Fire and steel. The Vorkath didn't see the human fleet coming. Commander Rais had ordered their approach from above the elliptical plane of the system, a three-dimensional maneuver that caught the aliens completely off guard. While the Vorkath focused their attention on the obvious approach vectors, the Earth ships descended on them like falcons diving for prey. All ships, execute attack pattern Epsilon, Rais ordered. Target their command vessels first. The EDF Intrepid led the charge, its advanced kinetic weapons firing in precisely timed salvos. Unlike the energy weapons the Vorkath were accustomed to, these projectiles carried programmable warheads that shifted frequency on impact, exploiting the weakness Captain Talia had identified in the alien shields. On the bridge of the Vorkath command ship, War Master Krell watched in disbelief as 3 of his vessels reported critical damage within minutes of the human attack. Impossible, he snarled. These primitives should not have such weapons. Intensify forward shields. Launch interceptors. But the humans had another surprise waiting. The EDF ships carried squadrons of aerospace fighters, small, agile craft piloted by humans who had trained in Earth's crushing gravity. They moved with a speed and precision that the Vorkath pilots, evolved on a lower gravity world, simply couldn't match. What are these creatures? Demanded Krell as he watched another of his ships list to the side. Atmosphere venting from multiple hull breaches. His tactical officer, visibly shaken, replied, War Master, our database classifies humans as an isolation species from a Class 12 death world. Their baseline physical capabilities exceed our special forces standards. A myth, Krell dismissed. No intelligent species evolves on Class 12 worlds. Yet the evidence was undeniable as the human fighters executed maneuvers that would have rendered Vorkath pilots unconscious from forces alone. Aboard the Intrepid, Lieutenant Commander Wei monitored the battle with clinical precision. The Vorkath are adjusting their shield frequencies, Commander. They're learning our attack pattern. As expected, Rais nodded. Implement Phase 2. The human fleet abruptly changed formation, breaking into smaller tactical groups that attacked from multiple vectors simultaneously. Meanwhile, 2 of their support ships broke through the weakened Vorkath line and headed for the planet's surface. Medical and evacuation teams report ready for deployment, announced Lieutenant Dias. The Ellerin Defense Forces are providing landing coordinates. On the view screen, Rais watched as the battle unfolded. The human ships were taking damage. That was inevitable. But their crews responded with a resilience that seemed to confound the Vorkath. When hit, human vessels didn't retreat as expected. Instead, they adjusted, compensated, and continued fighting even when systems failed. What the Vorkath didn't understand was the human concept of damage control. Teams of engineers moving through smoke-filled corridors, rerouting power, sealing breaches, and keeping weapons online through sheer determination. On one damaged ship, the EDF Dauntless, a hull breach had exposed a section to vacuum. Rather than abandoning the critical fire control station located there, 2 engineers had suited up and continued operating the systems manually in zero atmosphere, their bodies straining against the cold of space. This wasn't just training. This was something deeper, the instinct of a species that had evolved on a world where survival had never been guaranteed, where every day had been a fight against a hostile environment. The Vorkath are pulling back, White reported, surprised. They're reforming their line at a greater distance. They're reassessing, Rice said. They expected an easy victory against primitive newcomers. She opened a channel. War Master Krell, this is Commander Rice. Your blockade is broken. We're evacuating Elloran civilians from the surface. Stand down your forces and withdraw from this system. Krell's response was immediate and furious. You understand nothing, human. The Vorkath do not retreat. What you've seen is but a fraction of our might. As if to emphasize his point, spatial distortions appeared at the edge of the system. Vorkath reinforcements arriving. 7 more Vorkath capital ships detected, White reported grimly. Rice studied the tactical display. The odds were shifting against them, but the evacuation had already begun. They needed time. Dr. Chen, you've been monitoring their communications. What's their command structure like? Chen looked up from his station. Highly centralized. War Master Krell's vessel coordinates all tactical decisions. If it were disabled, the fleet would be in disarray. Rice finished. At least temporarily. She made her decision. Lieutenant Singh, plot a direct course for the Vorkath command ship. Wei, concentrate all offensive capabilities on their propulsion and weapons systems. We're going to give them something else to worry about. Commander, Wei cautioned, that puts us directly in the line of fire from multiple enemy vessels. I'm counting on it, Rice replied. Sometimes the best defense is to be where they least expect you. The Intrepid surged forward, accelerating directly toward the heart of the Vorkath formation. The maneuver was so unexpected, so contrary to conventional tactics, that several Vorkath gunners actually hesitated, uncertain if they were witnessing a malfunction or a suicide run. That momentary hesitation was all the human ship needed. The Intrepid unleashed its full weapons array at point-blank range, specifically targeting the command ship's engines and main weapon emplacements. On the Vorkath bridge, consoles exploded in showers of sparks as systems failed catastrophically. War Master Krell was thrown from his command platform as the artificial gravity fluctuated. Direct hit on their main power distribution node, Wei reported, his voice steady despite the shuddering of their own ship as it absorbed return fire. Their weapons are offline. Reyes opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships, focus fire on the incoming reinforcements. Keep them occupied while the evacuation continues. For the next 2 hours, a desperate battle raged through the Epsilon Indi system. The human ships fought with a ferocity and adaptability that shocked the Vorkath, who were accustomed to enemies that broke and fled before their superior numbers. These humans did not break. When one tactic failed, they tried another. When systems failed, they improvised. When outgunned, they maneuvered into better positions rather than retreating. Aboard the disabled Vorkath command ship, War Master Krell watched with growing disbelief as his carefully orchestrated assault faltered against the smaller human fleet. They fight like Krellfar beasts, his tactical officer observed, a note of reluctant admiration in his voice. Krell's reply was cut short by a transmission from Commander Rice. War Master, the Elloran evacuation is nearly complete. Your command ship is disabled, and your reinforcements are being held at bay. I'll make this offer once. Stand down your forces and withdraw from this system, and we allow you to leave with your remaining ships intact. Krell snarled. You are in no position to make demands, human. Our empire spans dozens of systems. This defeat, if you can call it that, means nothing. Perhaps, Rise acknowledged, but it will mean something to every species that hears how a human fleet answered a distress call and stopped the mighty Vorkath. How Deathworlders came from across the stars not to conquer, but to protect. Think carefully about the story you want told across the galaxy. War Master. There was a long pause before Krell responded, his voice tight with controlled rage. The Vorkath Empire does not surrender, but a tactical withdrawal to reconsider this unexpected development would be prudent. A wise decision, Rais replied evenly. As the Vorkath ships began to disengage, Rais turned to her communications officer. Get me Captain Talia. The Ellerin captain's face appeared on screen, her skin a pale blue that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. Commander Rais, I lack words to express our gratitude. The evacuation is complete. 32,000 souls saved because you answered a call sent by our ancestors. Where will your people go now? Rais asked. We have colonies in other sectors, beyond Vorkath reach, Talia explained. But after witnessing what humans are capable of, perhaps there might be a place for us near your world. Not Earth itself, as you now understand. Your world would be lethal to us, but perhaps one of your colonies. Rais smiled. I think that could be arranged. My superiors are eager to establish formal relations with the Ellerin Confederacy. And the Vorkath? Talia asked. They'll be back, Rais acknowledged. But next time, they'll know what they're facing. After the Ellerin evacuation ships jumped to safety, Rais gathered her officers in the Intrepid's conference room. Despite multiple injuries and damage to all their vessels, not a single human ship had been lost. The fleet performed admirably, she told them. But this was just the beginning. We've announced humanity's presence on the galactic stage in a way no one can ignore. Dr. Chen nodded thoughtfully. The Elorans call us Deathworlders, beings evolved on a planet so harsh that it forged us into something uniquely resilient. Until today, I never considered Earth particularly dangerous. It's all relative, Y pointed out. What's normal for us would be lethal for species like the Elorans. Our gravity, our atmospheric pressure, our bacteria, even our body's ability to repair damage. Rais looked out the viewport at the stars. We answered a call for help today, not because we sought glory or territory, but because that's what humanity does at its best. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. She turned back to her officers. The galaxy just learned something important about Earth and its people. When Deathworlders hear a cry for help, we answer with fire and steel, not to conquer, but to defend. As the human fleet prepared for the journey home, word of their victory was already spreading across nearby star systems. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage not as conquerors or victims, but as protectors. And that made all the difference.